What's up, guys, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm excited for today's episode. It's a little bit more of a vulnerable share or vulnerable conversation that I want to have. I talked about this a little bit on my Instagram. I wanted to bring it over here to the podcast that I am just in a really frustrating season of my own health and fitness journey. Honestly, guys, all that I can think about is fat loss. I want to be leaner. I want to look more toned. I've gained a few pounds over the past few months while coming off of my birth control and finishing up my reverse diet with my coach. All very important, necessary, and needed. But if I'm being honest, I'm getting hella impatient with my body. I've been in a health and healing phase for 2 or 3 years now, and I am just ready for a bigger goal. I'm ready to feel confident in my body and my skin because I deserve to. I work so hard and I want my physique to be a reflection of the effort that I put in. And it's kind of ironic that I'm going through a season that I coach my clients through all of the time. Just actually living it myself has been a whole different challenge. The discipline that it takes to sit in a health and healing phase for long enough for things to actually improve, especially when you feel uncomfortable in your body, is a completely different level of dedication than anything else in my fitness journey. I have done it. It just has not been easy. So, anyway, my point with sharing this is that it's forced me to do some serious mindset work. And I've had a really big perspective shift on my own journey that I want to bring to you guys in today's episode. What has helped me the most recently is making this season about my physique just as much as it is about my hormones, my metabolism, and my gut. And what I mean by that is instead of feeling discouraged every time that I have to delay fat loss because my body isn't ready for it yet, I started viewing this season as a prep stage, one that's setting my body up for the most successful fat loss phase possible. Because let's be honest, the successful fat loss phase starts with the foundation that is set months beforehand. So I started seeing the habits and the discipline and the intention that I'm putting into my routine and my body right now as exactly what's going to show up in my body 3, 4, 6 months from now when I can actually tackle fat loss and go into a calorie deficit. Because that is true. That has always been true. And that shift for me mentally has genuinely elevated my standards. It's given me a new sense of motivation. And honestly, it's forced me to lock the heck back in. Because I'll be honest with you guys, like there has been a level of complacency in my healing phase. And I've talked about this before on other podcast episodes, but in other episodes, the problem was never really my weight or my body. And that is definitely still the case. Like there is a whole nother conversation here about the self-trust and identity piece. It's how I feel about myself when I know that I have so much more potential than what I'm consistently following through on, both in my habits and my routines, and also in the way that I look. Like I know I have so much more potential when it comes to my physique. I'm eating healthy, but I'm tracking loosely. I'm working out, but I'm getting, 7K steps instead of 10. I'm scrolling some nights when I should be sleeping. So I have been quietly sabotaging both the healing phase for my body and also the future fat loss phase by letting myself cut corners and be a little bit too flexible with myself because fat loss isn't the primary goal. And because I'm so self-aware, like I know exactly when I'm doing it, when I'm cutting these corners, which almost makes it worse because I let those little slip-ups eat at me. And it's just been quietly deteriorating my confidence beyond just the physique piece. So this mindset shift was something that I really needed. Instead of continuing to white knuckle my way through the frustration of like delaying, I started seeing this season as the prep phase for fat loss, knowing that in 3, 4 months from now, I'll be ready to tackle a deficit because I took the time to put the foundation in place now. And that's what's kind of inspired today's episode. If any part of what I just shared feels familiar to you, if you are in this season where you want to lose weight so badly, but you know that you need more time of doing this internal work and you're feeling impatient with your body or you're catching yourself in those same little self-sabotaging patterns, I want to walk you through exactly how to prep your body for a successful fat loss phase, the things that I am currently doing, the things that every one of my clients does when they join my program, because I know your instinct. I know that you feel behind, you feel frustrated, and the first thing that you want to do is cut your calories to add more cardio. I get it. But that instinct, the one that is telling you to push harder, to diet harder, to figure all of this internal health stuff out later, that is usually the exact thing that got you kind of in this position in the first place. So I am excited for today's episode, and let's just dive in. Number one, get your lab work done. If you are someone who's been dealing with symptoms, whether it's digestion that's off, or a cycle that's irregular, or fatigue that caffeine doesn't fix anymore, inflammation, puffiness that you can't explain, or honestly, you're just someone who's been dieting on and off for years and somehow you look and feel worse than when you started, this step is a non-negotiable for you. A calorie deficit is a real physiological stressor. Even if you do it the right way, the healthy way, the sustainable way, it is still a stressor on your body. So if you layer on more stress on top of a system that's already stressed, already inflamed, already straight up burnt out, you are not going to look and feel better. You're going to look and feel worse. And you'll probably end up right back where you started, only this time more discouraged, more frustrated, more convinced that something is wrong with you when it's not you. It's that you skipped a step. You skipped the foundation. We want to see the actual state of your gut and your hormones before you do anything else, so that you're not putting in tons of work, accidentally working against your body for months without even knowing it. So some things that we want to look at in this phase are your thyroid status. So for me, my labs have showed for the past 5 years hypothyroid or subclinical hypothyroid in my lab. So we're really focusing on my thyroid function right now, which comes down to healing my gut. So we want to look at your gut microbiome. Lots of inflammation comes from the gut, and it's almost impossible to regulate your nervous system and your hormones if your gut is a stress trigger. And then we're also going to want to look at the state of your nervous system and your adrenals and your body's ability to be resilient to stress through your cortisol and DHEA ratio and your cortisol rhythm throughout the day. So these are the 3 panels that I run with clients. I do a Dutch test to look at your adrenals and your sex hormones, a gut test to look at your gut, and then a metabolic panel that looks at your thyroid status, as well as tons of other micronutrients that help to control your metabolic output. So this isn't just about us randomly collecting data and numbers for the sake of it. It's about giving us the data and the information that we need to know exactly what's going on with your body, so that we know exactly what it needs before we put more stress onto it and ask more of it when it's not ready for that. So that's number one. Number 2 is to eat at maintenance. There are 2 big patterns or mistakes that I see women making here. We have woman number 1 who comes to me eating 1,600, 1,700 calories a day. You're already underfueled, and you're telling me that you're ready to chase fat loss. And as much as I would love to help you see really quick wins with your physique, we can't do that. There is literally no room for a deficit when you're only eating 1,600 to 1,700 calories, unless you want to crash diet yourself and end up in the same exact spot that got you here in the first place. If you want to do a successful calorie deficit, you need to be in a deficit of 300 to 500 calories. Add on top of that, if we're working against metabolic and hormonal dysfunction, we need to be in a deficit that's bigger than 500 calories. So let's just zoom out and use this, these numbers as an example. If you're starting at 1,700 calories and you need to be in a 400 calorie deficit just to start losing a half a pound a week, you're starting your calorie deficit at 1,300 calories. That is the recipe for burnout and metabolic dysfunction. And honestly, a plateau within the first 2 months where you lose 8 to 10 pounds, but then you can't lose any more from that. So that's mistake number 1, is that you're already under eating and your metabolism's already down regulated, that there is literally no room for a deficit that is sustainable, healthy, and going to create lasting results. Woman number 2 is you've bounced between this under eating for a few days and overeating for a few days, and you're wondering why your body won't budge. This is why. Your body is confused. It's not broken in the way that you think it is. It is confused, and it is protecting itself because it's far more concerned about where it's going to get its next energy. It has no reliable energy sources and no idea when it's going to be fed again. And so this leads to, again, a lot of metabolic dysfunction. It does not put you in a state where your cells and your body is actively burning calories efficiently. In fact, it's probably preferentially storing your calories because of this under eating, overeating cycle that you're in. I have personally been eating between 2,000 and 2,200 calories for over a year now. specifically to make sure that I'm eating enough at my maintenance calories to support my hormones, to bring my thyroid back online, to calm my nervous system, and to make sure that I have a high enough calorie intake now before I start my deficit that, when I go to cut my calories by 400 calories, I'm starting around 1800 calories, between 1700 and 1800 calories. I'm starting my deficit where you're starting, where you're holding your maintenance. That is the importance of a maintenance phase. So I promise you that if you just got consistent with your calorie intake, actually eating enough, you would start to look and feel different without eating a single calorie less than you're eating right now. Consistency is going to do a lot more of the work than restriction ever will. So that's number 2. Number 3 is to build muscle tissue. You cannot reveal what you haven't built. I did a whole episode on, looking skinny fat. And the root of it all is almost always this: like, you do not have enough muscle tissue on your body to actually look toned once the fat comes off. When you are in a calorie deficit, your body is in a catabolic state, meaning it is breaking things down. It is not building things up. You cannot build meaningful muscle tissue while also trying to lose body fat, especially not if your metabolism and your hormones are already taxed going into it. So build the muscle first. Take this maintenance phase to strength train, use progressive overload, build a foundation of muscle tissue, which is going to inherently support your metabolism and make fat loss easier, because now you're burning more calories at rest than you were when you didn't have muscle tissue. But then B, it's also going to allow you to look toned instead of skinny fat when you actually have the opportunity to reveal it in a fat loss phase. The order is build, then shed, not the other way around. And then number 4 is building stress resilience, or creating stress resilience. If your stress bucket is already overflowing, a fat loss phase is going to make your symptoms worse, showing up as, stalled progress, cravings, bad sleep, worse mood, like you name it. And stress resilience in this context is not just about hormones. Like, it's not just a hormone conversation, or it's not just about regulating your cortisol. Stress resilience is a skill, one that you have to build. It is your ability to turn stress on when you need it and turn it off when you don't. Too many women only know how to turn stress on and keep it on. You don't know how to turn it off. Or maybe you know how, but you don't make it a priority. You don't have the boundaries set. You don't have the systems in place. You don't have the tools. The reality is you don't have control over most of your external stressors, especially as a high achieving woman who has a lot of demands. You have a lot on your plate. Work is going to be work. Life is going to be life. But what you do have control over is how you respond to it. And for the most part, how your body regulates after a stressful event or a stressful day. That is trainable through intentional nervous system regulation tools. That looks like having the tools to downshift after a long day at work. Instead of just lying there wired and tired, or staring at the ceiling, or scrolling, disconnecting, disassociating, it's actually having the tools to downregulate your nervous system and start to prioritize your recovery. It looks like having the capacity to hold a really busy schedule without turning into a chicken with your head cut off and just living in survival mode, rushing through every single piece of your day. It looks like being able to read the signs that your body's giving you, tuning into your own biofeedback, and knowing what to adjust in the stressors that you do have control over, so that your body stays regulated and resourced and responsive instead of burning out. So, for example, what this looks like with my clients is like being in tune with your cycle, knowing how to support yourself during each phase of that, recognizing when sleep starts to slip and knowing exactly what to change to improve your sleep quality, because that is an important foundation. Staying aware of your digestive changes, if you skip a bowel movement, if you're feeling more bloated or inflamed, and tying that to, okay, that's going on in this stressful season, this stressful stretch. I need to give myself more recovery time to account for this. Because I'm pushing harder, I also need to pull back and recover harder. These are the tools that allow you to be resilient to stress and that are crucial before adding the additional stressor of a calorie deficit. That's what I mean by stress resilience. And that's how, honestly, you earn healthy fat loss, is by having these systems and these tools in place to keep yourself regulated as you're adding things to your stress bucket. We need to be able to also take other things away. So, to recap this episode, if you want to set yourself up for a successful fat loss phase that works and works for good this time, it comes down to 4 things. Getting your lab work done so you know what you're actually working with. Eating at maintenance long enough to become consistent, not just complacent. Build muscle tissue now so that you have something to reveal later. And create stress resilience so that your body has the capacity to let fat loss happen instead of fighting with you every step of the way. None of this is like a sexy answer. I get it. It's not the start Monday and see results Friday that you're probably wanting or craving, but it is the honest answer and it's what actually works. And if you take anything from the story that I shared with you guys today, I hope that you take away that you are not behind. You are not doing it wrong because you're not in a calorie deficit yet. You are in a season where your body needs you to heal and to build the foundation first. That season counts more than you're giving yourself credit for. It's not a delay from the goal. It is part of the goal. It is part of the process right here, right now. The version of you 3, 4, 6 months from now is being built with what you do in this season. And I'm right there with you, doing the exact same work that I just laid out here for you. So if this episode hit home, I would love to hear about it. Shoot me a message on Instagram, or as always, a link to apply for coaching will be down in the show notes below. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.